Hi everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and today I thought it would be fun to do a card project inspired by fashion. So don't laugh at my selfie here, but I thought it would be fun to create a card using this as my inspiration. So this is what my card ends up looking like, and I actually took that selfie to send to my friend to see if she thought the necklace looked okay. So you're going to see me take that and translate it into a card, and I'm starting out with this stamp. It's the classic bloom stamp from Hero Arts. I've had it in my stash for forever and never used it. And I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring. So I'm inking this up in some Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And then I'm going to stamp it onto this vanilla cardstock right in the corner there. And I'm going to let the stamp kind of bleed off the edge. That just creates a little more interest on the card rather than having it butt right up against into that corner. Now I needed to create a mask because I'm going to stamp two more of those flowers. And so I stamped that same stamp onto some Eclipse art masking tape, and then I added it just to a piece of copy paper to add some stability while I fussy cut. Now, I am not a huge fan of fussy cutting, and there's a whole lot of it in this card, so just be prepared for that. Once I got that cut out, I just applied that over the stamp that I had already stamped, and then I'm going to ink up this classic bloom again twice and stamp two more of those overlapping. Now, the part where I've masked off the stamp that I'm stamping on top, it won't interfere with that. So it'll look like these are layered on top of each other. And you can see that when I pull off the mask here, I reveal a really nice kind of layered effect. So now it's time to do some Copic coloring, and I'm leaving this in so that you can see this really simple Copic coloring technique. I'm using Y13, Y15, Y19, and YR23. They're all linked in the YouTube description as well as over at my blog. And I'm starting out by coloring one petal at a time in the Y13, and then I'm going to grab the Y15, and I'm not going to go all the way to the end with this Y15, but I'm just going to add a layer of that, kind of maybe 3/4 of the way up that bloom, and I'm kind of just flicking it on there. I'm not coloring real solid because I want it to not have a definite line. And now I'm taking the Y19 and I'm doing kind of maybe, halfway up that petal and just adding that in. And then finally the YR23, I will add just around the center portion kind of to create that really deep color. Now once I get all of those colors added, I'm going to go back in reverse order. So now I'm going to grab my Y19 and just kind of blend up to the same point that I had earlier. I'm just blending that darker color into the next darkest color, and then the Y15, I'm just going to blend over those two colors that are below it. And then finally, I'm going to go back to the Y13, and I'm going to color over the entire petal again. So I'm just blending all this out. Now this is a 4-color blend, but on the other blooms, I'm going to drop the Y13, and I'm just going to use the Y15, the Y19, and the YR23. So you can see I've thrown out that Y13, and this is an even easier way to do it because you have less colors to deal with. And so I'm starting by coloring the entire petal there, the first petal, in Y15, and I'm going to use the same technique. Once I get the Y15 down, I'm going to go to the Y19 and add that about, 2/3 of the way up that petal. And I'm just kind of, like I said, again, using that flicking motion. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I wanted a really uneven line where those colors kind of blend together. And then finally, the YR23 is just going to go around the base. And once again, working backwards to the Y19, I'm blending that out. And then finally, I will finish with the Y15 and color over the entire thing. So that's just how I colored these blooms. I went all the way around. This was quite a bit of coloring. It's not usually something I take this much time doing, but in the end, the result was beautiful. And then I went back with that Y19 and just kind of traced along some of those veins in the petals just to add a little more darkness or depth of color right around those, accentuated vein marks. So now it's time to do the centers, and I started with YG23. I colored like the little, not the polka dot part. I don't know. I'm not a flower person, but the kind of little baby petals, I guess that's what they are. in the YG23 first, and then I added a little YG25 more towards the center. I don't know that I necessarily needed to do this, but I was just trying to add a little darkness, and then I went back over with the YG23. Now, I used some oranges and some of those golds to color in the centers. I kind of left it in. I kind of just put orange in a few places and then yellow in a few, the darker yellow, and then I went back over with a kind of medium yellow to blend that all together. I ended up not liking this color scheme when it was all said and done, so you're going to see me recolor these centers, and I'll show you how I did this. Now, once again, another step that I did that probably wasn't necessary, but I took this N0 Copic marker, and I wanted to kind of add a shadow there. So I kind of traced around those blooms. Once again, probably something I didn't need to do because I don't think you can see it. So now here's more of that fussy cutting, more of that Eclipse Art masking tape. You can see I created 2 more masks, but I only cut the portion that I needed. So the part that's hanging off, I didn't bother fussy cutting that. I just masked my 3 flowers, and this is where I am really nervous because I spent a lot of time coloring those blooms, and I'm not sure if I'm going to like this when it's all said and done. So I have this striped background stamp from My Favorite Things. Now this is a 6x6, so you can use this either horizontally or vertically on a card. And I'm inking this up in some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. Now this is one of my favorite black inks, and you can see I just inked that up, and I was very careful to ink really well. And then I'm going to take my entire card front with those flowers masked off, and I'm going to lay it onto my background stamp, being very careful to get it on there straight. And then I'm going to take a piece of scratch paper, and keeping one hand in place at all times, I'm going to rub all over that, making sure I get that ink transferred. Now you can see around the masked portions, I didn't kind of get that all the way up to the edge. So I'm just taking a Copic marker, and I'm just coloring right along over that where I didn't quite get that stamped up to the edge. And then I did kind of missed a couple lines, so I colored in there. I kind of wish I hadn't have done that, but because I think you can see the difference in the ink colors, but it's fine. It's okay in the end. So just keep that in mind. I can see a difference in the blacks in certain lighting, so you know, you may not want to fill those in. And here is the big reveal, and I am so happy that I like it because I didn't ruin those flowers. So here is where I decided to recolor the centers, and this, once again, a lot of fussy cutting and not something I normally do on cards, but I'm recoloring these, so the YG23 and the YG25 on those baby petals that are in the middle. And then for the center of the flower, I have to look at my notes to see what I used. I used the YG01 and the YG21 for all those kind of polka dot pieces, or I guess the pollen section in the middle of that flower. So I'm just coloring those in quickly. I just felt like the orange and the yellow in the middle was not enough contrast. And so this is just a really nice bright pop of green, and you can see that I fussy cut those like a crazy woman. And for that third bloom over there, I just cut a little slit along the petals of that original bloom that I stamped, and I kind of just tucked that centerpiece behind it so I wouldn't have to try to cut it to match. So now I have this U craft die and stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I used that die to create that die cut piece there out of some peacock cardstock from Paper Source. And then I'm adding this Amaze Me stamp right in that ivory line there, and I'm going to attach that die cut. Now this is my accent of blue like I had in the outfit. I'm just attaching that with a little Tombow Mono multi-glue, and I just removed a little excess with my finger to keep it from smushing out the sides. So now in true Carissa form, I'm going to add a little gold glitter paper. I can't stay away from this, you guys. It's getting a little ridiculous and out of hand. You don't actually have to add this, but I did have gold on in the outfit. And then I added also a piece of that peacock cardstock along the edge, just kind of peeking out. So once again, I have that blue accent. And then I added a double layer of foam adhesive and added that entire card front to a basil taffy card base. Now to add some finishing touches to the card, I just thought I would add a little bit of jewels with these Studio Calico and Gossamer Blue enamel dots in that kind of turquoisey teal. And then I added some Wink of Stella to that U die cut as well as to the center of the flowers, and that completes my card today. So you can see how that outfit is reflected in this card project. As always, I have more information over at my blog as well as links to all the products used in this card video. I also have the products linked in the description at YouTube. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a fabulous day.